Let me get over there.
Yeah, we're good. We're all good.
You sure?
Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Welcome to a new season of Sam's Garage. Coming up, Sam and Kevin will be outlining their new Jeep project, receiving new suspension and tires. Sam and Doug pick back up on the '57 Ford Thunderbird project now that the new custom frame is completed. Sam will be installing a new AC system in his '67 Cadillac DeVille. Then Sam installs a My Calibrator tuner from Livernois Motorsports in a Sheriff's F-150 truck. Sam and Kevin are back with a new project this season. They'll be upgrading the suspension to handle the 40-inch tires Kevin plans to add to his Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. Combined with the Livernois Performance Tuner, this Jeep will be sure to turn heads.
All right, we got Kevin Ford from Low Car Performance back into the studio, and we have his personal 392 Jeep that, if you remember, we had a Livernois tune done on it. So what do we have in store for this Jeep this time?
So, since you've seen it, I've got the 37s on it. Just wasn't enough.
Right.
Got to put 40s on it. I've talked to TerraFlex because they make the best stuff. I've got their long arm IR kit, cool bushings and stuff they do. We can talk about that later. But basically, we're going to put a coilover suspension on it. We're going to jack it up. It's adjustable, so we can get exactly where we want. Got some new wheels and tires, all kinds of goodies to go with it.
Compressor, bead locks. We have 40-inch wheels, 8 lug that's going to be going on to the axles that we're still waiting for to come from TerraFlex. A little supply chain shortage that we're all experiencing in the last year, year and a half.
You know, it's going to be worth it. I mean, it's 1-ton axles. We're going to get better gearing. So the Livernois added plenty of horsepower, but just with the gearing and the bigger tires, and I don't want to stress out the drivetrain, why not go to the 1-tons, get the better steering, do all the cool stuff.
Absolutely. You know. And this is going to be a project that we're going to be doing throughout the season, so stay tuned. You're going to see this Jeep going from what you see here with the 37s on it. It is a 392, but we're going to be adding a lot of TerraFlex goodies to complement the horsepower from Livernois. So I noticed you don't have a spare tire carrier on this one. I kind of like that look, but you're putting a 40-inch, you're going to be taking it off-road, so you're going to need a spare tire.
Yeah, so TerraFlex has 2 options. They've got their cool HD hanger that's going to allow us to put a 40-inch with the stock bumper. When they come out with their new bumpers, those are definitely going on here, but they're just in production in the beginning. So kind of waiting on that, but they've got a plate that can go in place of it, just kind of like what I have there, but just a little more refined. It holds the third brake light, it holds the camera, it holds the license plate light, just bolts on.
That's
on a wire.
Cool.
So
it's heavy duty, replaces the hinges and everything.
Oh, 100%.
That's a nice piece.
Yeah, it's. I'm not worried about that. I like how it's going to, hold up to the weight. And then when I'm on road and I'm not planning to go off road, I can take that spare off, leave it home, save some gas mileage.
Now, does that spare tire carrier stay stationary with the rear? It doesn't have a separate pivot that goes off the bumper?
Correct. They actually replaced the whole hinge mechanism.
That's so nice.
Right.
Because sometimes when you have the two and you open and close it, it kind of fights each other.
Fights each other, yeah, exactly. This is all in one motion.
Man, that's going to be so nice.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be doing the bead locks without a tire machine. We're going to show you guys how to air up your 40s on your wheels if you have bead locks. It's going to be nice and easy. Not that easy, but it's going to hurt a little bit for us.
And the modern tires, Mickey Thompson makes a great tire. We can put them on. I ran these 37s. I put them on, never balanced them. They were great. We did end up balancing them. They got a little better, but not enough for us to matter right now.
How did you end up balancing? Did you use regular traditional weights, or did you use the beads that people pour
We just did stick-on weights for now because it wasn't that important. And the bigger the tire, the more smooth the ride feels, in my opinion. Of course, you could get some wobble, and it's always best to do it right. But bead locks, big tires, going off-road, I'm not too worried about it.
It's going to be really exciting doing this project.
Absolutely.
I see you've already got the rock slide side steps on there.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I did, knowing that I wanted to lift it eventually and to make it easier for the wife and kids to get in.
And you know, it looks so good because you don't have the side steps on there, so it makes the Jeep look like it's got more ground clearance.
Wonderful kit. If we get through the whole TerraFX line, they've just got so many different goodies that just go together, they bolt in, they work. We're going to put inner fenders in. We're just going to do it right. We're going to make it look right. We've already got the worn winch on the front. You know, that's the first thing.
Absolutely, you have to do that, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be cool to see this thing in Windrock when it's all done.
Oh, 100%. I plan to take it up Rattle Rock.
Yep, and then we're going to take it to the Jeep Invasion in 2023 so everyone can check out all the goodies and upgrades that we did here on Sam's Garage.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Sam and Doug continue the second half of the 57 Ford Thunderbird project this season. In the previous season, they built a brand new custom frame in preparation for a Coyote Performance engine and 9-inch rear end. Be sure to stay tuned this season and see the project to the end.
This is going to be a very cool project, budget build. You guys did an awesome job at Hemsaw, building a whole new chassis for this.
You know, Sam, it was an awful lot of work getting the chassis done on it, but the chassis came out absolutely beautiful. We still have a lot of little tweaks that we have to do, you know, getting the body on, getting the body tweaked. You know, people don't realize this is all one body, so you have to set it on, then we have to go ahead and move everything around to get everything to fit right. There's a lot of detail works that still have to be done in just trying to fit it all.
Yep, if you guys don't remember last season, this Thunderbird started out as a regular Thunderbird with the original motor in it, original chassis. We wanted to do a budget build, so we found us a car that didn't need a paint job, a little bit of rubbing on the paint, a little bit of love on the interior. So we spent the money on a chassis that was built at Hemsaw and comes with all new components, 4-link rear end, Moser 9-inch. We got a Coyote motor in it.
Yep.
It's going to be really nice with the Holley EFI onto it. Runs really good on the engine stand, if you remember.
I do. You know, one of the things, guys, when you're getting ready to do a project like this, and I know we've talked about it over and over again, plan, measure to make sure everything's going to fit, because you're always going to run into stuff you just don't expect. And like any build, as we're doing this, I mean, we've gotten everything together, we've planned a lot, and then we suddenly get to a part where we're like, dang.
Yep, we missed it by this much.
Yeah. But it's a labor of love. I mean, we do this because we love it. For me, this was a classic body style. The 57 Thunderbird, I've always loved. Built a modern day chassis into it. We've got a modern motor into it. And we're doing something that you guys at home could do. It's a lot of work, but it can certainly be done at home. And we're not spending a fortune.
And you know, resto mods today are holding the same value, and in some cases are more expensive than the classic with all numbers matching.
Absolutely, Sam. That's, you know, it's amazing where everything's gone. That's why I'm really glad this year on what we decided to do was to build a resto mod. I mean, it's the body's beautiful, but let's make it where it's really fun to drive down the road.
Yep, and safe, which means alignment is important. And what we got is from Rod and Supply, we're gonna make the 4 links on the back beefier. We're gonna go from bushed ends to rod ends. And so we're gonna center the axle, get the alignment perfect front and rear. It's gonna be really nice. We got a fuel system going in, upgraded. We're gonna make a brand new fuel tank that's got baffles in it, so we don't have to worry about sloshing anyway. The interior, we're gonna take the bench, we're gonna make 2 buckets out of it. The carpet's gonna have to be remade. Now the carpet was cool, but a little dated, a little old, but we were able to reuse the factory floor that was modified for a T5 5-speed. We went back with an American powertrain TKX 5-speed, and look at the shifter.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's in the same spot.
It's in the same exact spot. And we're not going to have to modify the tunnel much at all. The tunnel was originally modified for the T5, just a little bit of mods, because a lot of the times when you guys are at home, you're worried about these little things, but we did our research and it's really working out well.
All right, so make sure you guys stay tuned, season 9 on Sam's Garage, because we're gonna be showing you the completion of this car with the Coyote motor, with the transmission, the new cooling system from Cold Case, and it's gonna be a custom exhaust, pipes, mufflers. This is gonna be one awesome Thunderbird.
You know, and I also want to say thanks to Scott on a lot of the components that we got from him. Without that, it would have been a lot more difficult.
The biggest thing Scott did for us is he stopped production to make our products and our parts that we needed in record time. So thank you very much, Scott Hot Rods and Classics.
Hi, William. So what brings you here?
I heard the oil was a little bit better, so know nothing about it.
You want to keep it.
The wife does too.
The wife does, yes. In some of these Jeeps, you know, in particular this year, they do have some issues with over the wheel well inside the frame. The problem is these holes right here, what happens is they collect dirt and dust, and then that kind of retains the moisture. Inside the frame is unfinished. And so it's prone to rust from the inside out. When you get your new frame, you're going to come right back to us, and we're going to put oil inside the frame. And so even if you do now accumulate more dirt and dust in there, that is actually just going to be like one more layer of protection. The oil is going to stay and be a barrier against the moisture. The mud and the dirt that accumulates inside the frame holds the moisture, and everything rots from the inside out.
Welcome back to more Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Sam gets ready to install a new AC system in his 67 Cadillac DeVille. Most of the factory AC was removed when the Caddy received a new engine swap. Now it's time to make sure the passengers of this DeVille are as cool as they look.
I got my Cadillac back in the garage. Now I have been missing one thing, which is heating and air. I went to Vintage Air and I got me a complete kit, condenser and all, to install in the Cadillac. I'm gonna start by removing the dashboard and mocking everything up. Let's get started. I got the entire dashboard out of the car, and that was pretty crazy because it's like a newer 90s style dashboard as a module. Unplug it from the car and the whole thing comes out, unlike other old school classic cars. Most of the AC on this car was on the outside of the firewall. I've already removed all that when I did the LS3 swap. Now I'm going to go through the dash and gut all the interior parts, including all this padding or insulation that they installed back from the factory years ago. We're going to completely clean it all out. I'm going to gut the rest of the AC. Then we're going to start mocking up the Vintage Air. I've got the AC unit in place, bolted up, top, bottom, and the front. Nice and solid, it's not going anywhere. I got my bulkhead for my heater hoses and my AC line bolted up to the firewall. Now I have to size the hoses that go from the box to the bulkhead before I go put my dashboard on. So now I'm gonna take it back out, size my hoses, crimp them in place, and put them back on one final time. That way I can put a period on the installation of the unit on the firewall. Make sure you guys, your O-rings are on the hose ends before you put them on, because that is your seal. This is my heater hose ends. The hose is gonna crimp right on over that barb. I'm gonna put a hose clamp on it, should be good. Okay, so you're probably asking yourself, is it as bad as it looks? And the answer is yes, it is. That's why we charge you guys so much to install one of these. You're probably also asking yourself, does he have every tool out of his toolbox? I do, because I need to. You can see that the box is installed, the vents are routed. Now this one is gonna go to the vent here, this one's for the floor. This car did not have real floor vents, so I'm just gonna kind of zip tie these in place for the passenger and the driver. And then I got the hoses installed to my bulkhead on the inside, and I got my harness connected to the box because I got to install all this once the dash is in. So next week, if you join me, you'll learn how to put the condenser in. I'll show you guys the routing of the receiver dryer and the hoses under the hood, and then we're going to go back on with an electronic control unit for the AC in the same spot as the OEM unit, and then I'm gonna put a radio in it because I have the dash off. I'm never gonna take it out again, so put a radio in it and we'll be good to go.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Previously, Sam installed a My Calibrator tuner from Livernois Motorsports in a sheriff's patrol car. The performance was so good that the sheriff is now getting the same treatment for his personal truck. To keep the air intake temps down, Sam's also installing an upgraded front mount intercooler.
I got the Sheriff's Charger back in the shop. If you guys remember last season, I did a 3-inch pipe stainless steel exhaust and a cold air intake. Now it's time to add some real horsepower by installing a My Calibrator from Livernois Motorsports. So what we're gonna do is, in this case, because it's a cop car, it's got a lot of accessories on it, so I don't know the condition of the battery. I'm gonna hook up a charger to it. And it's a good idea to always hook up a charger to your application so that there are no glitches in the upload and download process of the factory file and the Livernois tune. The case of a Dodge or a Mopar from 2015 and newer, you have to take the computer out because they've locked them. So you take the computer out, send it off to Andy at Livernois, they unlock it, give it back to you. Then you take the My Calibrator, and in this case you're going to require one tool extra, which is going to be a panel popper. Because on the Dodges you get an extra cable. That extra cable is going to require a power port. On the passenger side, you're going to take the factory kick panel out, and then you're going to go to the green fuse panel that's going to supply you power. And you're going to find a port and plug this in. That's going to hook up to the cable that comes into every My Calibrator's box, which is the OBD2 port that connects to the car itself and then the My Calibrator device. Cool thing about the My Calibrator is it's going to give you a lot of horsepower at the wheels. It's going to give you shift point adjustability, tire size adjustability to calibrate that speedometer. If you change the rear end gear ratio, you can calibrate that as well. There's a lot of good things that come with the My Calibrator. The Sheriff loved his Charger so much with the tune that I did from Livernois Motorsports, he brought me his personal F-150, which is a 3.5 liter EcoBoost. So we're gonna put another My Calibrator tune on it along with a front mount intercooler, because the My Calibrator is gonna give it 70 horsepower and 60 foot-pounds of torque. But we gotta keep that air charge temperature down. The more you keep that air charge temperature at bay, the less spark knock you have, which means you'll retain the timing that's been put into your car from the tune from Livernois, and you'll keep that power. Basically, we're gonna add this intercooler, all aluminum, way more efficient to keep heat soak at bay. This is a very easy installation. 2 50mm bolts is gonna remove the factory intercooler. There's 2 hoses, 1 intake hose, and a bypass valve with an electronic connector. Remove the connector, then we're going to remove the hoses from the intercooler. We're going to use a pick like this to separate the hose, silicone hoses, from the intercooler itself, bring it down, transfer over the electronic blow-off valve, and put the new factory Livernois intercooler back in its place, and it's going to look just like that. I know the Sheriff's going to be really happy with the horsepower we made on both his vehicles today. Now, his personal vehicle with an extra 70 horsepower and 60 foot-pounds of torque and that new heat exchanger is going to really put a smile on his face. But the Charger they're going to be using as a recruiting tool. So the next steps we're going to take on it is going to be a front and rear Hellcat fascia, and then we're going to wrap it. Then the Barrow County Sheriff's Department is going to be using that car and going to car shows around the state of Georgia and recruiting new police officers. If you guys want your car to make as much power as these two did, check out Livernois Motorsports.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Sam's Garage. Sam and Kevin have big plans for their new Jeep project. Sam and Doug move on to the next phase of the Thunderbird project. Sam's DeVille will be as cool on the inside as it looks on the outside. and the Sheriff's F-150 will sure to be on the radar with his coworkers.